Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Parr, and on this episode of Math Up to Par, we are going to be talking about the place value and value of decimals. So let's start by talking about what are decimals and why do we need them? So we need decimals to represent values less than 1. Sometimes we have parts and pieces. So when we're thinking about something that is smaller than 1, like if you have one sandwich and you cut it into 2 pieces, you have 2 parts to your whole. So sometimes we need numbers to represent those amounts that are smaller than 1. And that's when we use decimals and fractions. They are 2 different ways to represent an amount that is less than 1. So decimals work because of our base 10 system, okay? So when we're looking at the place value of whole numbers, which you look at right here to the left side of our decimal point, this number is 444. Well, this is my ones place, this is my tens place, this is my hundreds place, and it would continue on this direction. Every time we move one place to the left, we multiply it by 10. It is 10 times the place that it was before. Every time we move to the right, that place is 1/10. We divide it by 10. It is 10 times smaller than the place it was before. Well, when we get to the ones place, it doesn't stop there because we go to past our decimal point, and so now we have parts of 1. So we have our tenths, our hundredths, and then our thousands, which are each 10 times smaller than the place before them. So when we are going this direction, we are multiplying by 10, and when we are going this direction, we're dividing by 10, or it's the same as saying it is 1/10 of the place before it. So let's look at our decimal place value chart. So right here, you can see that we have our thousands, hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, hundredths, thousands. Well, before dealing with decimals, you would look at a number and you would look at it and you'd say, okay, this is 2,517. Okay, that is still the same. Nothing about that whole number is changing when we add decimals. We're just adding the pieces to this number as well. When we work with decimals, we use this little dot. This is our decimal point, okay? And this decimal point was actually always there after the ones place. We just don't have to write it if we don't have pieces of a whole that come after it. So the ones place is our smallest whole number place value. So this decimal point was always there, it's just sometimes invisible, okay? But anytime we are adding on a place value to the left of the ones place, we need our decimal point there. You need commas to separate families of numbers together, like your thousands and your millions and your billions, but we use our decimal point after the ones place to group numbers that are smaller than one whole. So as we move one place to the left, we get to the tenths place, okay? So you're going to notice that this says tens and this says tenths. So I've taken the word 10, but I've added a THS to it. So this is 1/10, right? This is 1/10 of the size of 1. So if I have 1 and I break it into 10 pieces, I now have tenths, okay? Then we move over to our hundredths place, and this is the word hundreds, and you'll notice the word hundredths right here. So I take the base word 100 and I add a THS to the end of it. The same thing I did to the word 10. So if this is our ones, right? These are our basic unit right here, okay? And you've noticed that I've gone on both sides of the ones. I have my tens and my tenths, and then I have my hundreds and my hundredths. What do you think is going to come next? If this one right here is thousands, what do you think the place value is going to be called to the right? It's going to be called, whoops, the thousandths place, okay? So that is where I take the base word thousand and then I add a THS to the end of that. So now I have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, which if you're new to decimals, those three places are new place values to you, but they follow a pattern. And so like when you would go from your thousands to your 10,000s, then if you were moving to the right with your decimals, it would be your 10,000ths and then your 100,000ths. Try not to spit on the person near you when you're saying that because that THS sound can be funny to make. So place values follow a pattern, okay? And so each place value to the right is 1/10 smaller than the place before that. And we're going to look at those examples in my representing decimals video. So let's use this guide up here and let's put the digits next to their correct place values for the number 7,029 and 651,000. And we will talk about how to say and write decimals in my other video with standard to written form. So be sure to watch that one as well. So in my hundreds place, I'm going to use my decimal point as my guide. My hundreds place is 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So if my decimal point is right here in this number, I go 1, 2, 3 places to the left, and that's the number 0. My tens place is 1, 2 places to the left of my decimal point. So I count 1, 2 places to the left. So my 2 goes right here. My tenths place is 1 place to the right of my decimal point. So 1 place to the right of my decimal point over here is the 6. And then I have my thousands, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the left. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the left over here. So that's a 7. My hundredths place is 1, 2 places to the right. So 1, 2 places to the right over here, that's a 5. The digit that's in the ones place, that's 1 place to the left. So that would be a 9. And then my thousandths place is 3 places to the right. So 3 places to the right over here is the number 1. So I can use my chart and the patterns that I've learned that decimal places follow to identify the place value of each number. And the place value defines how much each digit is worth, which goes into our value. So the value of a decimal is how much it is worth, which is what we just said, okay? So looking at this number right here, we have the number 64 and 925 thousandths, okay? This 6 is in the tens place, so it's worth 6 tens or it's worth 60, which you can write it as a number, okay? Because 6 tens is equivalent to 60. This 4 is in the ones place, so it's equal to 4 ones or just 4, because 4 ones is the same thing as 4. This 9 is in the tenths place, so the value of this 9 is 9/10, or you can write 9/10 with a numerical value, which is putting a 0, a decimal point, and then a 9 in the tenths place. My 2 is in the hundredths place, so the value is 200ths, which you can write in this word, or you can write it in numerical form, which requires you to put your decimal point and then to put a 0 in the placeholder of your tenths place to show the 2 in the hundredths place. You do the same thing for the 5 that's in this thousandths place. You would write the value numerically by putting your decimal point right there and then putting your zeros to hold the place value of the tenths and the hundredths place and put your 5 in the thousandths place. So we are going to try. So this 8 is in the tenths place. So this is equal to 8/10. Well, 8/10 comes after my decimal point, and it is the place that is immediately to the right of the decimal point. So I'm going to write 0.8. This 4 is in the thousandths place. So this 4 is worth 4 thousandths, which can be represented with a 0 with a decimal point, And then my 4 is in my thousandths place, which is all the way down here. But I need placeholders to hold the place value of the places that come between the decimal point and the thousandths place. So I need a 0 in the place of the tenths place and the hundredths place. So that is how I would write 4 thousandths. This 3 is in the ones place. So this is just worth 3 ones, or otherwise known as 3. This 7 is in the hundredths place, so I would write 7 hundredths. Or I would write a 0 with a decimal point after. I would put my 7 in my hundredths place, and I would put a 0 as a placeholder in my tenths place so that I can show that the 7 is in my hundredths place, and that's how much it's worth. Okay? All right, guys, be sure to check out my other videos on representing decimals, standard form to word form, and also rounding, comparing, and ordering. So thanks so much for listening, and happy practice.